before. You think about the stage in which he's on and how hard he's talked about waiting a lifetime for this moment and for him to play as poorly as he played. Skip, I'm not saying scoring the points. The scoring the points, yeah, you'd like to have Chris Paul score 20 and get you 10 assists. But it was the turnovers. It was the ineffectiveness in which he, like, turnover after turnover when they were right there in the ball game. That's what was so disappointing. And I'm sure when Chris Paul looks back at this film, he's like, man, was that me? Or was that somebody impersonating me? Because I'm the point guard. I'm not supposed to play this bad in a situation like this. Big-time players play big in big moments. Well, I look at Chris Paul as even though he's a small player, Skip, he's a big-time player that played well, and this was a big-time moment, and I expected him to play well. So I expect Chris Paul to play well. The question is, what are they going to do to get Ayton more involved, and what are they going to do to try to neutralize some of Giannis' penetration, playing at the rim? Because, Skip, this guy's shooting almost 80%. He's shooting 80% against everybody that's not named DeAndre Ayton. He's shooting less than 40% against Ayton, and he's attempted 9 3-pointers against Ayton. He's attempted 1 against everybody else. So therein lies the dilemma right there. Ayton's going to have to stay out of foul trouble, and they're going to have to do a better job of neutralizing Giannis. Middleton got hot. But, Chris, as far as Chris Paul, I expect Chris Paul to play. Do I expect 41 closeout Chris Paul against the Clippers? No, I do not. Because I don't believe Holiday, and I think that's what's hurting Holiday's offensive production. He's exerting so much on the defensive end.
I agree.
I mean, Skip, he's picking Chris Paul up 94 feet every possession. But you say, that's okay. We got Middleton. We've got Giannis. They can give us 60, 70 points between the two. Anything you give us, as long as you keep Chris Paul neutralized, we'll accept that. But I expect Chris Paul to play better than much better than what he played on Wednesday.
So I think you're leaning Suns tomorrow night?
I am leaning Suns tomorrow night.
I guess I am too, but I'm to the point where I am lost on this series. And the shock of shocks is CP3, Chris Paul, the point guard, has become the wild card in this series. The X factor is that guy. I cannot get it through my head that one day here, sitting right across from me, you were campaigning for campaign to get more minutes, and Chris Paul fewer minutes because he was starting to look old against my Clippers, and you were correct. And he came right out of that to Game 6 and shot them right out of the playoffs. I've never seen anything like it before. He played his greatest game to end the Clippers series at Staples in Game 6, had another great game in Game 1 at home against the Bucks, and then we went all the way to a Game 4 at Milwaukee, and he played absolutely his worst playoff game ever. It has to be the worst game of his entire career, obviously given the magnitude, the stakes. And he, above all others, cost his team a 3-1 lead, a commanding, you know, like a championship. It would have been a virtual done deal if Chris hadn't played that poorly and committed certainly those atrocities of turnovers in the fourth quarter. Especially the one with 32 seconds left. I still don't know what was happening. You know, he gets the switch onto Giannis, and then he palmed the ball and completely turns it over to his right hand, and then just unforced error, just lost the handle.
Skip, he just lost his footing.
I don't know.
He just falls. Look at this, Skip, he falls.
I don't know. How do you... And then they get an easy run out to Middleton the other way, and it's game over.
Yes.
That's the point guard. That was it. That's the flashpoint of the whole game. Phoenix was up 9 early fourth. They were up 5 with 5:30 left in the fourth, and they could not close a deal that would have virtually closed out Milwaukee in the finals. So I don't know what to expect from Chris, except I think he'll bounce back. His stats for the whole series are pretty good. He's 53% from the floor, 44% from 3. That's for all 4 games. The problem's been he's averaging 4.3 turnovers per game. That's not Chris Paul. That's not him. It's hard to win that way.
It really is. And Skipper, you know this. It's kind of like football. All turnovers are not equal. A guy throws an interception in the first quarter, and then all of a sudden you throw one late in the fourth quarter. Your turnover carries more weight than his. Well, it wasn't the 2 turnovers that Chris Paul had in the very first minutes of the ball game that doomed him, because you had a lot of play in between. It was the last 2 that prevented you from getting shots at the basket. Who knows what would have happened? Maybe you get fouled. Maybe you get a bucket. Maybe you get an and one. We don't know, but what we do know is that those turnovers led directly to Milwaukee getting runouts and getting baskets, and you got nothing in return. But I expect them to play better, Skip, and the Suns are going to have to do a much better job of keeping the Bucks off the glass.
Yeah.
Skip, I mean, they're getting crushed on the glass, especially offensively. You can't give a team like this that many opportunities at you. You did a great job forcing them to take ill-advised shots. Okay, now punish them even more by getting the rebound.
Yeah.
But when they take bad shots and they get the rebound, they're basically saying, Skip, it doesn't matter the shot.
No.
We're going to get the board anyway.
Okay, so to me, this is shaping up to be the classic home court advantage finals, where the home team wins every game, which would mean Phoenix would end up winning a Game 7 at home to win the championship.
Skip, I wouldn't chance that, though, Skip.
Well,
not with
you've always said,
Giannis.
who knows what could happen in a Game 7.
Yeah.
It's just shaping up that way to me. And the reason it is because Giannis does not make as many free throws on the road as he does at home, clearly because he doesn't have a crowd chanting 1, 2, 3, 4 and trying to speed up the count on him to shoot it before he's ready psychologically to shoot it. So what have we seen in games 1 and 2? Giannis went 7 of 12 in game 1 at Phoenix and 11 of 18 free throws in game 2. So that's a grand total of 18 of 30 at Phoenix that he made, which is not terrible, but it's still 60%. At home, he made 68% in games 3 and 4. Well, that's a significant difference because he shoots a lot of free throws. So I'm guessing that Phoenix is just going to say, let's just attack him. Let's make him shoot free throws. Let's let our crowd try to get in his psyche and discombobulate him and get him out of whack and out of rhythm, get him frustrated, and hope that he'll just come unglued because we're quick counting him at the free throw line. So I think that the crowd advantage is the Giannis free throw line advantage in Game 5.
Skip, you know, and the Phoenix Suns should be very fortunate. They're minus 29 on offensive rebounding. They're minus 26 in rebounding in general. You don't normally lose the rebounding battle by those kinds of discrepancies throughout and you only play 4 games and be tied 2-2. So you're very fortunate when you're giving up this kind of discrepancies on the window, on the glass, and you're still tied 2-2 and you're going back.